Hi, good afternoon. So I want to talk to you about what we're doing, creating a network for Matter. We call it Matternet. And our vision is to use small UAVs, commonly referred to as drones, to do automated goods transportation. How many of you have seen Amazon's announcement a couple of weeks ago? Right, so we are in the same space. And in fact, we believe we're going to be one of the companies that will enable them to do what they publicized. I'm going to show you a quick clip from one of our trials. This is in Haiti in the August of 2012. And here we are flying aboard on top of a camp that was set up in Haiti, in Port-au-Prince, after the 2010 earthquake. And we're modeling a medicine delivery in the camp. You see that the vehicle is a very small vehicle, lightweight vehicle. It's called an octocopter. It has 8 propellers, and the cost of that vehicle is about $3,000. If you watch that image carefully, it really hides the reason why this will become, in our minds at least, a new paradigm for transportation for lightweight goods. When you have something very, very lightweight, and you don't have the ability to aggregate, and this is typically in the so-called last mile delivery problem, a very lightweight vehicle has very little dead weight that it carries around in comparison to the payload. So in this case, we have a vehicle that weighs about 3 kilograms, transporting a package of 2 kilograms. The ratio of the vehicle to the payload is very, very low. So the economics work for this vehicle better than any other vehicle that we've ever invented, again, when you don't have the ability to aggregate. When you do have the ability to aggregate, you can use a truck, a van, you have to fall in the sweet spot of the corresponding vehicle. But when you're doing last mile delivery, this is the most economical and energy efficient way to do it. It's totally counterintuitive. Flying is more cheap and energy efficient and less CO2 emissions than any other vehicle that is on the ground. And to give you a hint of how that translates to numbers, the cost for doing a transportation of a 2-kilogram package, around 4.5 pounds, for you that don't speak metric, over 10 kilometers, about 6 miles, the cost of energy expended in that flight is only 2 cents with that vehicle, right? So, what Amazon is talking about makes a lot of sense. We've been in the space for a couple of years now. We graduated from here in the summer of 2011. And the problem that the big question we had to answer was, how do you create an industry? Because we saw that this was going to be something big and something that was going to happen. But typically, the guys that move out first, they're not the guys that really capitalize on the industry. They usually solve all the problems and someone comes behind and scoops, the benefit of that, right? So we thought, how can we solve this? I mean, we had this insight that this thing is going to happen. And we felt that the best way of doing it was basically start talking to a lot of industry players. So we talked to everybody that is, the biggest companies in last mile and e-commerce, and tried to open their minds on how they can do this. And then, of course, worked on the background to really create the technology that will enable it. So, in a nutshell, we believe that's going to be a 21st transportation system. It will transform the way that we move things locally. And we see this happening first in rural areas for high-value goods like medicine. And eventually, it's going to come in the cities of the future. At some point in the future, we will see these things around us in every big city, especially those that are congested. And again, the e-commerce application is the long tail of, it's going to come, it's probably one of the later applications that will come. The low-value applications, e-commerce, food, for them to reach mass adoption, there's quite a few challenges to go through. Before that, we'll see it for urgent goods, we'll see it for medical deliveries and so forth. So the value proposition is simple. It's the fastest, most efficient last-mile delivery, regardless of road conditions, anytime. And we're talking about an automated logistics system that comprises 3 elements. The first is the flying vehicles. The second is the ground stations, we call them. These are the routers of the network. These vehicles fly in and out of them to swap batteries without human intervention and operate the network. And the third is the operating system that manages the fleet. So if you have 2,000 vehicles doing deliveries over LA, how do you manage the overall resource? How do you match resource to demand? How do you avoid adverse weather conditions? All that sort of stuff. So the vehicles fly autonomously, right? They don't need to be piloted. They follow GPS coordinates. They fly in the part of the airspace that nothing else flies. It's called Class G airspace in this country. And this is typically below 400 feet, and it's pretty common across the world. Every vehicle has the ability to swap a battery and load automatically. That's at the heart of the system. And then it does that at a ground station. There are different flavors of ground stations. This one does battery and load swap. It's just a conceptual design of it. There are simpler ones that are just pads that the vehicles identify, land on them, drop a package, and go out again. So again, what Amazon showed for you that seen the video, the likelihood of that happening, the best way to execute on it would be to have a marker on the ground that the vehicle can see, so it can land on it with better than GPS accuracy and make sure that it's a pre-cleared location. Again, the last component is what we call it Matternet OS, and this is basically the Uber part of that system. Our business model is never to operate networks. We want to be building the technology and make it very simple for people to set up and operate networks. So we want Amazon to be our customer, FedEx, UPS, and all their competitors. And the idea here is, we make the technology reliable, safe, simple enough to use, that they don't need an intermediary. They can do it themselves. Again, our product is three tightly integrated parts. We are different from most other sort of plays in that industry, and there are a few in the last couple of years, because we are a vertical solution. So we're not a horizontal layer. We're a vertical solution. Someone comes to us, they get the solution, and it works with high reliability and high level of safety. Our business model then is to sell the vehicles and the stations and charge a fee per flight for every authorization that goes through our system. A few of you may know what's the regulatory framework currently. There's a big push right now to figure out a way to integrate small UAVs and UAVs in general in the national airspace in the US, and we're going to see a big shift over the next few years. There's a deadline that the FAA here is working for, 2015, to figure out how we can do this at scale. Other national air traffic authorities are following in lockstep. We now have Amazon, UPS, Google, DHL, that have publicly came out saying that they're interested in this. We know of a few others that are interested in this and haven't announced it. Our strategy is to really, figure out places where we can do this first. And as far as I know, we're the only company that has authorization to fly in a country, this sort of service. We've been able to secure authorizations to fly in the Dominican Republic, and we're using this as our lab to basically build and scale networks and learn how to operate them. So that's really our go-to market strategy. We want to operate outside the US first, figure out applications where there's higher impact, there's higher things at stake, and people are willing to take risks with regulation and new technology until it's proven. We're trying to figure out closed environment pilots in the US. There are a few candidates there. We've been out a lot. We have already quite a strong brand. It's interesting. Amazon came out on a Sunday night, and Monday morning I had 10 or 15 emails in my inbox from all the major journals. They wanted to get our opinion how feasible is this and how it can be made true. We've been out a lot. People really admire the mission we've been after to try and create a leapfrog scenario in those countries that don't have roads. So this would work very well in many developing countries that no alternatives exist. And our mission has been really to figure out a way to do this and then bring it here. For those of you that have 10 minutes, it may be worth watching our TED Talk from TED Global this summer and really spread the message. We're at a very exciting sort of curve of the company now. We're really scaling the company up, raising investment, building more technology, closing more customers. So it's a really exciting time for us, and we'd love you to spread the message. Thank you.
I think we'll have some questions for Matternet. Why don't we go over here first? And then I'll go to you second. Got to make David run. It's sort of fun to see.
Well, exercise never hurt. Do you ever see the UAVs being powerful enough to deliver people?
Yeah.
So that'd be the actual flying car where you just program in, take me to work, take me to the store, let me come home.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, in general, there's a little secret here that this was the vision that drove the genesis of this project. We really wanted to figure out how to really leapfrog, old infrastructure, and the best thing you can do is transport people, and then you can transport anything else underneath. We believe that's going to happen. Our vision is to start from the small scale and then go up. There is scalability in a lot of the problems that you need to solve for this with lower risk, and then scale it up to people. I know of a few companies and people that are working on this problem, and we're going to see, interesting technology coming out. Generally, if you think if we really are going to make sort of flying between places ubiquitous, it has to be automated, right? And when you see those machines fly in automated mode, this is really their natural way of flying. That's the best way, It's much better than an RC pilot flying it. This vision of getting into that machine and putting it on your location and then that machine taking you there, I think we'll see it. That's the Jetsonian vision, I guess. The big question is why. When. The why is there. Well, my prediction is that it's not going to happen in the next 5 years, and it's not going to happen in the next 10 even at scale. But we will start seeing it.
We had a question up here.
So I'm a pilot and I'm flying VFR, and I see you. Do you avoid me, or do I have to avoid you?
You never see us, and we never see you.
But I would feel you if I hit you like I do with a balloon, for example.
But we won't be in the same airspace.
But you're below 400 feet. I'm on the ground. I have to get there.
Yeah.
So do you follow the Jepson charts in terms of usable airspace?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there is a lot of thinking going into this problem currently, right? The folks here at NASA Ames have a center that thinks about that. There is a few different think tanks around it, let's say. And the safest assumption right now is that these types of vehicles will never be in the same airspace with manned vehicles. Yeah. But these vehicles will have to learn how to avoid each other, which is a different problem because none of those have eyes, right? So it's done through a different system.
But there's an awful lot of airplanes that fly below 400 feet, although they shouldn't, that are flying VFR and not even in radio contract. Probably over 50%
Yeah.
of the local private flights, particularly around San Francisco and Los
Yeah.
Angeles,
Yeah.
are indeed in your airspace, even though theoretically
They shouldn't. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I guess we'll see how the law will be enforced. What's your gut feel? When do you think we're going to see this happening at scale in San Francisco?
I'm sorry?
When do you think we're going to see this happening at scale in San Francisco, or say in the Bay Area?
Well, I think it is certainly possible as soon as you can implement it, but there's an awful lot of regulations one has to go through just to become a pilot. I would imagine you would have to do at least the same to get the, Palo Alto Airport, just north of us here. There's an awful lot of activity around there. Outside the Jepson Pie, there's below 400 feet.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, that was a great way to start off our evening discussions over dinner. I think some people might be hungry, but first, let's thank Andreas for talking to us about Matternet. Thank you so much. Great job.